Recipient of the 2018 Disney Spirit Award, someone whose character, energy, and passion serve as an inspiration for us all, Tyler Trent.
What did that moment mean to you?
My mind undeserving.
Why do you say that over and over? Undeserved. Why?
Because, a year ago, I prayed that I would have the opportunity to share my story, and now it's coming true.
So many have been touched by your story since you shared it with us. What's your message to all those who have reached back to you? Hundreds and thousands, and now into the millions who have been affected by what you've shared. What's your message to them?
At the end of the day, there's, always a light at the end of the tunnel. And, as long as you rely on your faith, things will work out.
Tyler's fight began long before he ever came to Purdue. At 15, his life changed during a summer game of Frisbee with his friends.
When I went and I threw that Frisbee, I actually broke my arm because my bone was so weak from the tumor eating it away.
It was osteosarcoma, bone cancer.
In October 2014, doctors replaced the top half of Tyler's arm from shoulder to elbow with titanium. After 9 months of chemo, he was cancer-free for the next 2 years.
So I basically knew Tyler because he went to my church. We went to College Park Church, and he has been going there since he was born, basically, with his family, as have I. I've been going there since I was about 2 years old, and we grew up in a program there called Awana, and we basically just memorized a bunch of Bible verses and hid them in our heart, and we did things like VBS together and Sunday school. So although I wasn't super close to him, I definitely knew him from programs of church, and definitely texted him a lot as well. Some common interests that me and Tyler would have would probably just be, being funny, telling jokes, as well as his church in general and Jesus. That's a big one when, you're religious and so is another person. So just having that in common was awesome with him.
And then 4 months before entering Purdue on a presidential scholarship, the cancer returned.
I saw a face of my child crushed, disappointed, heartbroken.
When I found out that I had cancer for the second time, the first thing I said to my doctor, I don't care how hard it is, but I'm going to school on time.
In September 2017, Tyler had surgery to replace his pelvis. 11 days later, he started school on time.
Guided by faith and driven by his fandom, crutches or chemo sessions couldn't stop Tyler from making sure he'd have tickets to the Michigan game last season.
He said, "Dad, I'm going to go camp out so I can be first in line so I can have the front row seats." And I said, "Tyler, do you really need to do that?" And he said, "Yes, Dad, I need to do it."
The head coach, Jeff Brom, was amongst the first to see him.
You see a guy dressed in Purdue garb from head to toe, big smile on his face. He didn't tell me his story, didn't tell me what he was going through. He just had a positive attitude and brought a lot of life to the conversation.
The question is, what made him so strong and keep going? And I think that that's such an obvious answer because his faith that he had in God was not hidden. What actually happened is the first time that he got diagnosed, with cancer was he took it the very wrong way, and he decided that he was going to be mad not only at God but at people in his life, and that he was just going to live in a very bad way basically and do a lot of stuff that was not only harmful to him but harmful to others. And then he got into commission, but then he ended up getting cancer again. And the second time, he felt hopeless. He felt like there was no hope. He felt like there was nothing that he could do about it. And at that point, he had hit rock bottom, if not further. And he said, "God, there's nothing else that I want to do besides Jesus to glorify you, but right now I don't feel like I want to." But God, through that prayer, God has really helped him, obviously, gain publicity, and he ended up becoming very famous in a lot of people's lives. So I definitely think that God is the one that made him keep going and made him push through that, because the first time he was barely going the first time. So
How do you see the future?
Well, in the immediate future in my mind is that Purdue beats Ohio State.
Burst of speed, a first down for Purdue. He's still going. More, punch back, touchdown.
Throws and that's intercepted. Marcus Bailey, the 10, the 5, touchdown, Boilermakers.
That's all we needed. That's all we needed right there.
And every Boilermaker, they will all say, Tyler, this one is for you. He had one wish as he makes his way toward the Purdue locker room, and that was for Purdue to upset Ohio State and for him to be here to see it.
Boiler up!
another way that he really affected other people through his faith was just people on the football team, because there was no way that every single football player on that team, and probably still isn't, religious or a Christian or have a religion to follow. And so I just think that it was amazing. And one of the quotes by one of them was, "We will never forget the depth of his faith. His courage and conviction had left an incredible mark on us." And that was from Mike and Karen Pence, the U.S. Vice President, the First Lady. And it was read in a letter by the Indiana government, Eric Holcomb, at his funeral. And I just think that he not only had an effect on, players on the football team and on Purdue University, but just around the entire world. And the president and the vice president, he got letters from Donald Trump. It's just amazing how far his faith got him. A way that he impacted his friends was that he cared more about other people than he did himself. And I would definitely say that that's true, because one story that someone at his funeral shared was that I think this was one of his family members, he wanted people to feel so comfortable, even while he was in cancer and so much pain and just miserable, that his family came over, I think it was around Christmas time, and they were all in the living room. But Tyler actually had to be repositioned. And instead of making everyone feel uncomfortable, because he could not do it quietly, he had to, moan and make weird noises, he decided to make a joke about it to make the other people feel comfortable. And I think that just goes to show how selfless he was and the sort of impact that he had on his friends and family.
Recipient of the 2018 Disney Spirit Award. Someone whose character, energy, and passion serve as an inspiration for us all. Tyler.
What did that
Trent.
moment mean to you?
My mind, undeserving.
Why do you say that over and over? Undeserved. Why?
Because, a year ago, I prayed that I would have the opportunity to share my story. And now it's coming true.
So many have been touched by your story since you shared it with us. What's your message to all those who have reached back to you? Hundreds and thousands, and now into the millions who have been affected by what you've shared. What's your message to them?
At the end of the day, there's, always a light at the end of the tunnel. And, as long as you rely on your faith, things will work out.
How did he impact the rest of the world? It was just a few days after he had passed away, and I was looking at all the Facebook, all the Twitter, all the Instagram posts, and I've been seeing people from different countries, different states, even different cities, and I was like, did he really reach that many people? But he really did, and he impacted the world in such a positive way that people to this day will never be able to understand unless they know Christ. And I think that him doing that has made such a huge difference. One of Tyler's famous quotes is, Though I am in hospice care and have to wake up every morning knowing that the day might be my last, I still have a choice to make that day the best it can be. Yet, isn't that a choice we all have to make every day? And I think that just goes to show that his attitude towards life and even like bad situations that he didn't want to be a part of was just very good. And I don't think anyone can really have that attitude unless you know God and unless you're just an inspirational and motivational sort of person.
Football world was captured by Tyler Trent. He was the Purdue football fan that was battling cancer. You probably saw that. He just passed just recently. And here's what he said. He put out I'm in hospice care and have to wake up every morning knowing that the day might be my last. I still have a choice to make that day the best it can be. Yet isn't that a choice we all have every day? After all, nobody knows the amount of days that we have left. Some could say we are all in hospice to a certain degree. So why don't we act like it? Where is your gratitude? With Christmas coming up, what are you thankful for? I had to write my will recently, and I'm just thankful that I can give my family Christmas presents. Maybe even for the last time. Let's not forget that my doctors gave me 3 months to live almost 2.5 months ago. So why can't we live grateful lives? Why can't we make every day count like it's the last? So for this team and all you guys moving on, and even the guys coming back, that's what I would say is go live and be great today.
If Tyler was alive to this day, I don't think that he would ever ask God for a different life than what he lived while he was living. He lived until about the age of 20, and he lived that life to God's complete purpose of his life. And I don't think that Tyler would want to take that back in any way or have any regrets, because he lived that life to the fullest and he knows that. And I think that that's something that's really hard to be at peace with yourself with, is that, well, you only got 20 years to live. Well, did you live that purposefully? Did you live that to the best that you could have lived it? And I think that Tyler would argue that he could have done better, but that he wouldn't have done it any other way.